Tisha B'Av, a day of sadness and mourning. The Mishnah in Tanis describes that there are 5 things that took place on this day. The Meraglim, the spies, they cried tears. They didn't want to go into the land of Israel. Tisha B'Av night, God said, okay, this is going to be really a night of crying. You're not going to be able to go into the land. Your children are going to be able to. The first base of Mikdash was destroyed. The second base of Mikdash was destroyed. Beitar was conquered. Yerushalayim was plowed over. And there are certain modern day tragedies that took place on Tisha B'Av. The expulsion of the Jews in 1942 took place on Tisha B'Av. World War I started on Tisha B'Av. And the rafting, the final solution, also took place on Tisha B'Av. And yet it's hard to relate to the Beis HaMikdash being destroyed. How often do we sit and cry, real tears, for the temple in Jerusalem, the Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim, not being built? What is the point of mourning? So I once heard the following analogy from Charlie Harari, which I thought was excellent. He said, imagine you have father and son. And they're not so close. Son calls the father once in a while, and all of a sudden the son gets a call from the hospital and says, we're so sorry, but your father, he was in a car accident. He's in the hospital now. The son races to the hospital, and when he gets to the doctors tell him, we're so sorry, but your father has passed away. The son is obviously devastated. He's heartbroken. He's sitting Shiva, and people come to him and say, your father, he loved you so much. And they start telling him stories. It's really, I didn't even know that about my father. I didn't even know that. And he's in such a state of mourning and of love. And all of a sudden, the last day of Shiva, the doctors come in to pay their respects. And they look at the picture on the wall, and they say, wait, there must have been some sort of confusion. Your father actually is alive. He's recovering. The name, there must have been a mix-up. The name that we told you, the person that passed away, it's not your father. Now, imagine at that moment, you're that son. So do you think you're going to say to the doctors, okay, please send my dad my warmest regards? If there was a brick wall between the son and the father, he would break through that wall to see his father. What changed? 2 weeks beforehand, there's no phone calls. Now we break through a brick wall to see his father? The answer is focus. What mourning does is it allows us to focus. When we mourn the Beis HaMikdash, we're focusing on what not only is lost, but it's a day of yearning. It's a day of yearning for what we can have. You see, when you mourn, that generates sadness because the person is no longer there and you're thinking about them. But God is in our lives. It's just more in a distant way, and more of a Hester Panim, and more of a hidden way. What we want to do on Tisha B'Av is to cry out and yearn for the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash, for the unification of Yerushalayim, meaning that all of Eretz Yisrael will be filled with the Jews coming ma'arba kafos ha'aretz from all 4 corners of the earth, coming back to the land of Israel, being able to celebrate the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a revealed way, in a way of clarity. That's what Tisha B'Av is all about. Tisha B'Av is a moed. It's actually a holiday. We don't say Tachanun on Tisha B'Av. The sages say that Tisha B'Av one day will be a day of gladness. May it be God's will that we should no longer have to say Mishnichas Ab Ma'atim B'Simcha, that when Ab comes we lessen our Simcha. We should be able to experience the day of Tisha B'Av not as a day of sadness, but a day of focus and yearning for the ultimate happiness of the clarity of the HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world.